Okay, welcome back. We're getting ready to set up a quota for John. It's actually not for John, it's for the folder. I've already explained that. But let's go to the quota path. And so I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to my machine. It's my D drive. And I'm going to go to home. And I'm going to pick John Smith. So now, then it says create a quota. Yeah. And then how do you want to do this? And so they have these templates. And so picking a template just speed things up. There's a 100 limit. So here's one that's called a 10 gig limit. I'm going to use that. All right. And then it basically says, okay, this is all what it, I'm going to go ahead and hit create, and then we'll come back and look at it. So I'm going to go in here and do a right click and hang on, I was trying to get in here and edit the quota property so I can just see it a little better. Okay, so I'm using this template. I could have a description, just describe it like, John is a pig. Okay, I'm going to do that. Okay, this is my John is a pig quota. So he's got 10 gig, and it is a hard quota. But here's what's going to happen: at 85%, I'm going to get an email. The system administrator is going to get an email, and he's going to get an email. When he gets to 95, he's going to get an email. I'm going to get an email, and it's going to go in the event log. And then at 100, he's going to get an email, and then he's not going to be able to do any more after that. Okay. So you can go in and tweak this if I was to click on one of these guys and say edit. And so that's how this thing works. So now John is not going to be able to just dump junk onto his shared folder anymore. Okay? That's not bad. So the choices are, the warning thresholds, I can pick when those are. It doesn't have to be 85%. Whether or not, who gets an email, maybe there's an extra person, that kind of stuff. Does it go to the event log? And then could I run a command, some sort of a thing, maybe I have a special, application that has been prepared. So, it comes up and says, now, John, that kind of thing. I don't know, something. All right. So John is a real hard case here. So in addition to telling him he can't store more than 10, I want to go in and set the file screening. Okay. So I'm going to go in here to file screening and do a right click on file screens, and then I want to create a file screen. Makes sense, right? The path is going to be the same, except this time, instead of just picking on poor John, I'm going to pick on the entire home directory, because there's going to be more people than just John. So I'm going to go here and then derive properties. And so one of the ones is block audio and video file. There's a bunch of these guys. Okay, that's actually pretty doggone cool. And so what I've done is I've told it I want to block all these file extensions. I'm going to go ahead and hit create. And then once again, I'm going to click on this guy and go in here and bring up the edit so I can see a little bit more. Okay, so what am I doing? Active means I'm not going to allow it. Passive means I'll allow it, but I'll keep track of it. Email message, we don't have an email system up and running, so this is going to be a little tough to do. Event log, yeah, I know. How do you want to gain? So this is even what the log entry would look like. And then whether or not you want to run a command, and do you want to get a report at the end, which is pretty cool. We're going to do reports next. So basically, I'm aware of that. Thank you. Leave me alone. And so now I've got this thing set up. So I've got a quota set up on John only. Well, you know what I mean, John's folder. And then I have file screening on the entire home. And then let's do one more. Let's look at the reports. So I'm going to go here to the storage report management, and I'm going to create me a new scheduled report. So what I want to look at is, what's this thing going to be called? I don't know. Weekly duplicates and large. Okay. So what I want is I want to get a report every week for duplicate files. Okay. I'm just going to go through and pick the things I want. I want large files and duplicates. I could have another one talking about quotas I could do on a monthly basis, but I just picked duplicate files and large files. Okay? And what kind of report I want, the scope, I'm going to leave, I need to add a folder, right? So once again, I'm going to go down to here, and this time I'm going to use the home guy, not just picking on John again, okay? Yeah, I haven't done that yet. Give me a break. Send an email or schedule this thing. I want it at Monday at 1 a.m. So 1 0 0. So at 1 a.m. on Monday. And ta-da! I now have a report set up that's going to hunt for duplicate files and large files. And you can go in and tell what you think a large file is. And again, this is to make the life of a system administrator easy. You get up in the morning, you go to work, you got coffee in your hand, you sit down at your machine, and you start reading the emails that have been generated for you. Okay? Here's the event log collector and all the things you need to know about. Here's the file system report about whatever the heck John and his buddies have been doing for the last week. You know, that kind of stuff. It sure makes your life a heck of a lot easier. Okay, that is about the end of this little demo. I think you would like the file server resource manager. There's only one trick to this thing, and that Microsoft has been spending one heck of a lot of time and energy trying to get people to convert over to using Microsoft Azure cloud services. And so none of this works on cloud. There's similar things for setting up quotas and doing reports and stuff, but it's not using this. So this is kind of sort of old school for on-premises stuff only. You cannot, for example, when I pick this location for the quota, it has to be local to the machine. I can't like point to a SharePoint or a cloud services or a share of any type. That making sense? Okay, that's the end of this little demo. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next video.